when Police Officer Brown tore up the parking permit of black entrepreneur Mark Thompson, accusing him of forgery, he had no idea it would ignite a resonant fight for justice. What happened next would astonish even the most seasoned observers. But let's start from the very beginning. Mark Thompson, the owner of a successful startup, is hurrying to an important meeting with investors. He parks his car in a reserved spot in a bustling part of the city. Displayed prominently on his windshield is a valid parking permit issued by the city administration. As Officer Brown approaches, he notices Mark stepping out of his vehicle in a sharp business suit. Brown's attention immediately latches onto the fact that the driver is a black man. Instead of offering a greeting, Brown abruptly demands, "This parking is for paying permit holders. Where are your documents?" "Here you go," Mark replies calmly, presenting his parking permit. But Brown, without even glancing at the documents, snatches the permit from Mark's hand and tears it in half. "A fake. You think I can't spot a scam? Who let you in here?" Mark tries to explain that the spot is legally his, but Brown cuts him off. "Spare me the stories. Is this car even yours? Show me your registration and ID." Passers-by begin to notice the escalating situation. Some slow down, observing, while others pull out their phones to record the scene. One onlooker indignantly calls out, "Hey, what are you doing? I saw his permit. It was valid. Step back." Brown barks. "This is police business, not your internet spectacle." But someone in the crowd recognizes Mark. "That's Thompson. He owns one of the biggest companies in the city." The remark spreads through the gathering, and tension among the witnesses grows. Drawing on his composure, Mark addresses Brown directly. "Call your superior. If you think you have the right to humiliate me, let's settle this formally." Ignoring him, Brown grabs his radio, pretending to call for backup. His voice, however, betrays a hint of unease. The crowd swells as more people stop to witness the unfolding drama. Videos begin circulating on social media, sparking a wave of outrage that threatens to escalate into a full-blown scandal. The crowd around Mark's car grows larger. Some bystanders begin to loudly voice their indignation over Officer Brown's actions. An elderly woman shouts, "This is outrageous! He hasn't done anything wrong!" Mark tries to remain calm, but his tone becomes firmer. "Officer, you've torn my permit, accused me of forgery, and are issuing baseless threats. Call your superior so we can resolve this right now." Brown, sensing the situation slipping out of his control, raises his voice. "Stop riling up the crowd! If you don't leave immediately, I'll arrest you for non-compliance." Mark steps back, raising his hands to show he poses no threat. "Arrest me if you have a lawful reason. I'm waiting." At this moment, a young woman steps forward from the crowd. "My name is Jessica, and I'm an attorney. What you're doing is a clear abuse of power, officer. It's all being recorded on video." Brown loses his composure. Pointing at Jessica, he barks, "Stay out of this. This is official police business." Jessica stands her ground, her voice steady and confident. "Official business? Tearing up a citizen's documents, does that fall under your official duties? Your actions will serve as evidence in court." The crowd begins to rally behind her, shouting angry remarks. Several people upload videos of the incident to social media, highlighting the injustice. Someone yells, "That's Mark Thompson! His company provides jobs in this city." Brown starts to show visible signs of unease. He grabs his radio and attempts to call for backup, but his voice falters, betraying his nerves. Meanwhile, one of the witnesses shows Jessica a phone, already displaying the rapidly growing popularity of the incident online. "Officer," Mark says, locking eyes with Brown, "if you're not ready to answer for your actions, I guarantee the whole world will see this." Brown looks around and realizes that the onlookers are no longer passive observers. They've become an angry crowd demanding accountability. In the distance, the sound of an approaching police car grows louder. The crowd waits in tense anticipation, eager to see what happens next. The siren of an approaching patrol car grows louder as the crowd parts to make way for the arriving senior officer. Stepping out of the vehicle is Captain Raymond, a man in a crisp uniform with a weary but resolute expression. He strides toward Officer Brown, his presence stripping away Brown's veneer of confidence. "What's going on here?" the captain demands, his sharp gaze sweeping over the swelling crowd and the numerous phone cameras pointed in their direction. Brown straightens up, attempting to justify himself. "This man was using a counterfeit parking permit. I acted within the law." Captain Raymond turns to Mark. "May I see your documents, sir?" Mark calmly retrieves his wallet and hands over his driver's license and a copy of the parking lease agreement. The captain examines them, then uses his radio to cross-check the information with the system. The seconds it takes for verification feel like an eternity. Finally, the dispatcher's voice comes through. "Permit valid, Mark Thompson, owner of the parking space." The crowd erupts in a wave of indignation. Brown stammers, I didn't know it was him. The documents could have been forged." But the captain cuts him off. "You tore up a citizen's documents without proper verification. Do you understand the gravity of your actions?" Jessica steps forward, her tone firm. "Captain, what your officer did wasn't just an abuse of power. It was racial discrimination. This is all on video, and as an attorney I fully intend to seek justice." Captain Raymond looks at Jessica, then at Mark, whose composure and resolve leave no doubt about the seriousness of his intentions. "Mr. Thompson," the captain begins, turning to him, "please accept my apologies on behalf of the department. We will conduct a thorough investigation." Mark responds with measured calm. "Apologies are not enough. This isn't the first time people like me have been humiliated for how we look. You need to show that you're willing to make real changes." Meanwhile, videos of the incident are gaining traction on social media, rapidly accumulating thousands of views. The crowd, though supportive of Mark, directs their anger toward Brown. Someone shouts, "Fire him! We won't stay silent anymore." Realizing the magnitude of the situation, Captain Raymond issues a directive. "Brown, you are temporarily suspended from duty. Internal Affairs will handle this matter." The crowd begins to disperse, but the energy of outrage lingers in the air. Mark steps forward and speaks loudly, his voice clear and resolute. "I won't stop until this system starts working for everyone, not against us." His words are met with thunderous applause from the remaining onlookers. But deep down, Mark knows that an even greater battle lies ahead. The video of the incident with Officer Brown continues to spread across social media, reaching local and national news outlets. Comments pour in. "How much longer will this go on? A hero of our time, and the system must change." Soon, television networks begin inviting Mark for interviews, and the city administration is forced to issue a public response. At the press conference, Captain Raymond makes an announcement. "The police department deeply apologizes for what happened. We are initiating mandatory anti-bias training and reviewing all complaints against officers from the past 5 years." Meanwhile, Mark takes an active role. Together with Jessica, he organizes a meeting with activists, lawyers, and community leaders to discuss turning the public outcry into tangible reforms. During the meeting, Mark says, "I don't want this to become just another scandal. We must bring about change so that no one feels humiliated in their own city ever again." Riding the wave of public outrage, Mark launches the Voice of Justice initiative, calling for greater police transparency and the establishment of an independent oversight board to review citizen complaints. He gains the support of local business leaders who pledge funding to help implement these reforms. Meanwhile, Officer Brown faces the consequences of his actions. His temporary suspension evolves into a formal disciplinary investigation. In one of his rare comments, he admits, "I never thought my actions would lead to such widespread backlash. I now realize how deeply wrong I was." This statement makes the news, but the public demands more: a full acknowledgement of guilt and a formal apology. Weeks later, the city administration announces the creation of a new civil rights protection unit, comprising representatives from various communities. Mark is invited to join the board as a representative of the Black community. In the finale, Mark addresses a large crowd in the city square. "This incident has shown us that we can change the system if we refuse to stay silent. This is just the beginning. Together, We will build a society where respect is not a privilege, but a norm. His speech is met with thunderous applause. What began as an act of humiliation transforms into a story of resilience and collective empowerment, proving that personal courage and community support can change the course of history.